Welcome to another episode of the PPSS Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. Every single day, I have the opportunity to help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today, I have a really amazing guest. She is somebody I met at a few events, and I saw her speak and follow her on social media. And this person is so full of energy, so full of fun, so full of enthusiasm. And every single time I see her, she has this big smile on her face, and it's just a lot of fun just talking to her. She just absolutely loves helping people build happier, healthier, and richer lives. She's a life strategist, health and fitness enthusiast, an international award-winning speaker, and the author of the book, Happy Life Results. So please welcome STACY McPHERSON.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Fong. That's so kind of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here. You're speaking to us all the way from Budapest, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Now, for people who don't really know who you are and what you do, give us a quick little rundown as to what you do and who you are.
Okay, thank you. So I'm STACY McPHERSON, as Fong said, and I'm a life strategist. So that means that I help people with strategy for success in life and in business. So that's my main focus. And then I've written a book, and I'm coaching people to fulfill their true potential, whatever potential it is that they would like to achieve. Then I help strategize with them to access their full potential to be able to get the results that they want in life.
Awesome. Now, your book on the Happy Life Results, is there a tiny little secret that you can share with us about why people should read this book right away, and how it would actually change their lives?
Fantastic. That's a great question. I love it. So when you read my book, you'll find that I'm a rare bird. I share with you that happiness is a fuel source for success. Instead of feeling like you have to wait until you're successful to feel happy, you actually use happiness as a power, as a fuel source to get the results that you want. And actually, if you're not getting the results that you want in life, you can start getting those results after or through the process of reading my book.
Cool. Now, I can tell right now that you're just so full of happiness and so full of energy, and you're saying that fuel source is that happiness. So most people are going to ask you, well, how do I get that fuel? For my car, I have to at least go and get some gas and pump that up. But how do I fuel up my happiness gauge?
You know what's so fascinating is you just asked me, how do you fuel up my happiness? And I don't think you're very familiar with my book, but the main premise is the word up, and it represents uninterrupted or unconditional peak experience. So up, it's an acronym for unconditional peak experience, meaning that you can feel optimal, you can feel peak all of the time, and that it's a skill that's learned. And I take you through the steps to be able to learn that skill throughout the process it's actually a coaching book, not just a sit back and read book. It's a book where you self-coach yourself to be able to get these results that I'm talking about.
Awesome. That sounds very, very powerful, and something that everybody should have in their lives. You mentioned about coaching. Now, for yourself as a coach, why would you say that people should have coaching in their lives?
Okay, so we all have the most amazing potential. Like every time I meet someone, I can see like areas where they have so much potential, and they don't necessarily see it yet. Like they may even think that they don't have the potential that I see. And so I help them find that they actually do have so much potential, and they're usually way more successful in that moment of time that I speak with them than they even realize. So I feel like one of the roles of a coach is to help people realize, number one, their potential, and number two, how successful they already are. Because when you feel that success, that feeling of, look how much I've accomplished, look how much I've achieved already, that is one method of getting that fuel source, that happiness fuel source that I've been talking about. So yes, coaching is phenomenal.
So I'm going to assume that you have your own coaches as well, so that they can help you fuel up that gauge.
Exactly right.
So the thing is, like, if you're coaching other people and people go, well, how come you have a coach then?
Yes. So I highly recommend everyone having their own coach. Even if they were to be the most successful coach in the world, there's just something magical about having someone pull out of you what you really want to get that clarity. What is it? What is your direction, your passion? What are you focused on? And then go toward it. And sometimes, even though we're a really great coach for other people, we can't see ourselves so objectively. We need a coach to kind of pull that out of us. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. Because if sometimes you just can't see that path, or you don't know what you're capable of until somebody goes, you know what, you can do that, and you can do it even better than what you thought you could do, kind of thing.
Yes, dude. So
Even better.
I love it.
What would you say? So you've been working with other coaches, and you also been working with other people as well as their coach. What would you say is one of the best coaching advices that you've ever gotten?
Okay, so I think it would be that you need practical application of theoretical ideas in order for them to be a part of you.
Mhm. Cool, very good. And in that sense, was there a, a particular story or a life lesson that got you to realize that coaching moment?
Yes, so much. Okay, so I have a coach, and he shared with me a story, and that story was, I would say, the most pivotal moment in my life, because what that story did for me was it helped me to look at something in a different way and then try to see it in that way consistently until it changed from just the theory, the idea, into actual practical application and effortlessness in applying this principle. So I'll actually share with you that short story if you'd indulge me.
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
All right, so imagine you're walking along on a sidewalk and it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining and the birds are singing, and you come to a park. And you look in the park and you see something kind of sparkling and glittering on the pavement. And so you go closer and you're like, what is this on the sidewalk? And you notice as you get closer that it's a pile of broken glass. And so now you've got these really comfortable shoes on, these sturdy shoes that could totally protect your feet. And instead of walking through the glass unscathed and being merrily on your way, instead you reach down, unlace those comfortable, sturdy shoes, take them off, take your socks off, and walk through the glass barefoot. And you look down at your cut, bleeding, painful feet, and you think, okay, Stacy, stop right there. I would not do that. That's what you're thinking. Who in their right mind would do that? And you wouldn't do it. You just wouldn't. But one of the ways that I use this analogy is that the glass represents the problems that we're experiencing in life, and our sturdy, comfortable shoes represent our positive internal state. And so when my coach shared that story with me, I realized that there was a space in time where I was unlacing my shoes without realizing it. I just went straight from problem to pain, problem to feeling frustrated, irritated, overwhelmed, whatever it is, even discouraged or bored, even something as small as being bored, some kind of way that I didn't prefer to feel. I felt that way instantly, problem and then instant emotional reaction. And so what that story did for me was it shared that you can have a space in time where you can choose to unlace those shoes or not. And that was the most powerful thing for me. I actually spent an entire year just with that story, moving my instinctive response from after I was stressed out and freaked out to in the middle. Then I was realizing, wait, I could take my shoes off. And then finally, at the very beginning of the scenario, whenever I have the problem, instead of waiting until I freak out, I actually have a space there where I can decide whether I want to take my shoes off or not.
Sometimes figuratively and literally.
Exactly. Exactly.
What would you say that you do now, where once you approach that moment where you go, I recognize this. I'm feeling that I'm going to have a downturn, or I'm feeling that I'm going to feel a little bit disappointed. What do you do in your mind to quickly change that? How do you interrupt that process?
Very good question. Oh my goodness, that is such a fabulous question. Your question alone shows that the depth of wisdom that you have on this topic. Thank you for that. Okay, so you have that moment of choice, and I call it a space where you have the opportunity to either take your shoes off or not. And at first, you don't feel like you have any space at all. It just feels like you go seamlessly into the pain. And so what my experience was that I was aware of this idea in theory, and I would have this situation where there was a problem. I would freak out. I would, whatever negative emotion, whatever frustration, I would feel it fully. And then after it was kind of over and I felt better, then I would realize, oh my gosh, I could have kept my shoes on, but I didn't. So that was frustrating. So if anyone wants to attempt this, just realize that at the beginning, it can be a learning process that takes some practice, because initially what you're doing is you're doing what you've already done. Whatever patterns you've already established, you're going to keep doing those because we follow the path of the least resistance. We do what's familiar. So whenever you're changing something, and this skill literally is as easy to change as learning a new language. It's
Wow.
something that's doable. People do it all of the time. It just takes practice, and it takes kind of translating things in your mind from your old way of doing something and to the new way of doing something. So I explained to you that my experience was I wasn't able to make the change at the beginning. It was only after the fact that I realized I had that power. And then it started happening in the middle. When I was in the middle of crisis, then I said, oh, I could have taken my shoes off. But at that point, there's not a lot you can do to change. And I have a lot of studies and things in my book that explain why that is. One really quick example is that when the hormones are released into our bloodstream, they need to run their course before they can exit. So you can't just flip a switch and instantly feel better if those hormones are already coursing through your system. Wow. And so that's just a really quick one, but I have a lot more of them in my book. But so this idea that you can catch it in the middle, but then that's not where your power lies. Your power doesn't lie to change it when you're in the middle. And so what will happen is if you reinforce this idea over and over that you actually do have a space to choose, you actually do have an opportunity to feel the pain emotionally or to not feel the pain emotionally, then you keep reinforcing it, right? And I told you it took me a year, but I'm able to get my clients through this process in 3 months now. Wow. Because I'm more clear on what the process is. Awesome. So then I gradually help them go sooner and sooner until they have that moment. And this was, I would say, the pivotal moment of my entire life when I was able to catch that space before I freaked out. And I absolutely knew that in the past, I would have been upset. I have no doubt that the old Stacy would not have handled it the way this Stacy did. And so I had that space and I was like, oh my gosh, I could choose to whatever it is, and it could be, like I said, as minimal as just being bored, but just a feeling you don't like to feel. So then I got to that space and I could literally stop. But it wasn't instantaneous, and it wasn't something that if you're in the habit of not doing that, if you're in the habit of taking your shoes off, and like I was, then it will be a gradual process where you move the kind of the marker up and up in time to where you can do it before you actually act after the stimulus has happened.
Very, very cool. So now that you're able to train your mind to think that way, to adjust and change and accept challenges and overcome them and all that kind of stuff, how have you taken that mentality, that mindset, and applied it to the situation we faced during this year, which is the whole COVID shutdown and all that kind of stuff? How did you adjust your business to thrive in this environment?
Thank you for asking that. That is a question we've all had to address, hasn't it? We've all needed to make changes, pivot. We've needed to adjust to crisis. There have been circumstances completely out of our control where we have not been able to cope as well as normal. Things have just been so out of our control. Normally, when things are out of our control, we see an end date. We say, okay, at this time, I'll have made that move. I will have graduated from this class. But with this situation with COVID, there's so many uncertainties. And so I just want to stop for a moment and say, I don't want to make light of anyone's struggle, because it has been horrific for many of my clients and for many people. So I just want to say that I'm with you. If you're struggling, if this is hard, if things are uncertain and overwhelming, that I'm with you. Like I feel your pain with you. It's not like I'm over here saying, oh, just be happy. Don't even, worry about it. I actually can feel your pain, and I can feel that that with you. So just because I get to choose my internal state and I have a pause, I can actually choose to feel pain if it helps me feel your pain and connect with you in a way that you need right now. So yeah, I'm not just all about happiness. I'm about choosing your internal emotional state purposefully to get the results that you want.
Mhm. Now, one thing I believe that's very, very important is relationship building, especially when you're in the life coaching aspect. You need to build that relationship, that rapport with your clientele, with your prospects, even with your audience and followers. What would you say is one of the most important aspects of building relationships? Like, how do you build great, strong relationships?
Oh, that's such a good question. And relationships have always been my number one priority in life. And it hasn't been until I was able to make this internal shift and consciously choose the way that I felt, that I was able to achieve financial freedom and achieve physical fitness and like strength and ability. So relationships have always been my number one thing. Like the health and wellness came later, the financial freedom came later, but relationships have always been just the highest thing on my list. And so I got married young, but I married my only boyfriend. I never even held hands or kissed anyone until him. We got married when I was young, but we are still newlyweds. Like people think that we just were married yesterday. So our relationship is very close. And just because it's always been that way doesn't mean that I haven't worked and paid a lot of attention and fostered it along the way. I'm sure you would know that anyone who's been married close to 30 years like I have would know that it does take constant effort and constant care. And so talking about relationships, I'm going to say something crazy. But it comes from personal experience and application, and also tried in the trenches from my clients.
Mhm.
But the number one way to improve your relationships is to be happy yourself.
That's not as crazy as you might think. I totally agree. You have to be happy about yourself and love yourself. If you don't, then you can't expect somebody to take that responsibility from you when that's what you should be doing yourself.
Yeah.
No,
I love you agree with that. Thank you.
I've seen a lot of some like your photos online and some of your videos and whatnot. And that relationship that you talked about having with your husband, you could tell that right away. Like the
Oh,
photos that you guys do are look so fun. The two of you are so in sync with each other, and you guys travel all over the world, and you have a lot of fun doing these poses and just enjoying life as it is, right? Now,
exactly.
having traveled all over the world, have you been able to apply relationship building and that type of mindset with people that are from different parts of the country or different parts of the world? Have you been able to engage with people, even though if there's a big language barrier?
Very much so. Yes, I think number one, smile. A smile is something that can connect you instantaneously. And the more heartfelt and genuine that smile is, the more connection you can have when there are language barriers. That's definitely the case. I've also had the opportunity to go from not knowing a language, not knowing a culture, and to live in a country. So I lived in Thailand for 5 years, lived in Israel for 3 years, and I've been in Hungary for 1 year. And I've been able to see the progress I've made in connecting with people from when I've learned their language. So when I learned their language and learned their culture and observe their, the things that are important to them, when I show respect to that, then it is very powerful in the connection. So I would say the number one was to be happy yourself. And then number two would be to have as much as possible show respect for the things that they value, the things that are their core beliefs, the things that are important to them. And it's unique to each person, but to find that out by asking questions and observing them and being very open to learning and listening instead of talking and putting your ideas into their head. Like just really observe them and their ways first, because that opens up a connection to you to share, where you can start to share your success, your ideas, your beliefs with them, as well as learn from them simultaneously.
Mhm. Now, you're an actress and you're also a photographer, which means you have a lot of artistic abilities and a lot of creativity. Would you say that because you have that mindset, that background, have you been able to translate that well into entrepreneurship?
That's a fun question. Those things come so natural to me, I don't think about them. Instead, all I think about is all of the new skills I need to learn, like all of the technical skills, all of the behind the scenes, sitting at my computer late at night, doing the stuff nobody sees. Like, all of that, that's what's been the biggest challenge for me. So it actually warms my heart to hear you say that I have that you observe my artistic talents, because you sometimes, when you're good at something, you don't think about it because it's easy, and instead you're focusing so much on all of the new things that you want to learn in order to be, because entrepreneurs are like a jack of all trades. You have to learn so much. I know you know this.
You wear a lot of different hats.
It's so true. Yeah.
So
So I'm gonna think more about your question. I think it's definitely helped. Like, I've had so much fun with my Facebook posts, so much fun with the thumbnails for my YouTube channel, and now I'm creating a podcast with thumbnails and making it artistic. So in some ways, okay. So number one, I enjoy it, but in some ways it may slow me down because I want to spend too much time doing that and not enough time doing all of the other stuff.
has being an actress been able to help you with that relationship building too? Because now you're able to adjust different personalities or different mindsets because you have that actress background. You go, okay, well, if I'm talking to these people, I need to turn on this kind of mindset. If I'm talking to these type of people, I have to turn on that mindset. Yet still keeping that true self in there somewhere.
I love that. I love that. I actually am attending a course right now. And last night, our instructor told us that when you try out new ways of speaking, that it will feel unnatural. And at first he said, it may feel like you feel fake. And so he said, when you're first trying things out, learning things, he said because it's unnatural, it may feel like it's fake. But he said that it's just because it's new, it's unfamiliar. He said everything about you created at some point in your life to become you. You created it, and if it wasn't purposeful, then now is your opportunity to create yourself purposefully. Mm-hmm. So you are who you are authentically because of who you chose to be at moments throughout your entire life. You chose, and maybe it didn't feel consciously. It didn't feel like you consciously chose it, but you chose it. You chose to be who you are. And just because you chose something when you were 3 and 7 and 15 and 24, doesn't mean that at age 49, you can't reinvent yourself and be an authentic you that possesses the characteristics and traits that embody what you would believe is an optimal you.
Right. Now, having said that, what would you say to people who go, you know what, that's new, that's different, and I feel so awkward doing it? How do you coach them through that mindset that goes, you know what, it's okay?
Yes. Okay, I have the perfect answer, and that is you practice on neutral ears. And what I mean by that is you practice on people who don't know how you should sound. You practice on people who don't know who you are. So what you do is you practice with the clerk at the store. You practice with the person getting your gas. You practice on someone who doesn't know the quote unquote real you, but that real you was only shaped by your past experiences. And when you choose to recreate yourself, you can do it, but it's sometimes hard to do it with people who know you because they may not understand. Yeah.
I totally get that. When a few questions ago, we talked about how do you engage with people and how do you build those relationships. And you said the number one thing you do is have that smile. Always smile, and that smile will break down all barriers and whatnot. And then you talked about that trying something new feels awkward and weird. The first thing I thought about was the people who go, hey, if you tell them you need to smile more, and then they give you that one smile that you go, ooh, okay, not that smile, because that
Yes.
kind of looks freaky. And that's because they don't smile a lot. And then you say, yeah, that's kind of psycho, and no, you better not smile. So how do you coach them and go, okay, now just tone that down a little, be more natural and smile, like be you kind of thing. So how do you tell people to be them?
Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, so I have two answers for that. One is I've actually taught courses on what we call laugh yoga.
Mhm.
Have you ever heard of laugh yoga?
I've heard. I thought goat yoga was as far as I would explore that concept, but indulge me.
Yes, I've actually taught laugh yoga classes, and it's just as a side story. The reason why I got into laugh yoga was because I do face exercises, and I own a face gym. We actually do courses where we exercise the muscles in your face. And one of the most powerful ways to exercise your face is when you do extreme emotions that are hilarious, very silly. And so when you're doing these embarrassingly silly expressions to exercise your face, if you incorporate that into, so I took face yoga and incorporated it into laugh yoga. So not only are we exercising our face, but we're also laughing our heads off, which has tons of health benefits. It's not just the skill of learning to smile more, which is a fantastic skill, which I know from what you've just said, how valuable you see that it is. Like if someone doesn't have that skill, it's a powerful skill to have. So look into laugh yoga, look into face yoga, and it's a skill, meaning these are muscles.
Yeah.
Like use your muscles. I will have had experiences where at the end of the day, people around me are saying, oh, I've smiled all day, my face just hurts. I've never had a day like that because I smile all day long anyway. So
You've done the reps, and it's in peak shape. So your cheeks are pure muscle. Now, when you talked about having a lot of different roles, because we're as entrepreneurs, we have a lot of roles to play, whether it's the production of videos or speaking, or you're a photographer and an actress and an author and all that kind of stuff. You're also a wife and also a mom. So how do you balance all that together? How do you keep all that stuff managed and everybody happy?
oh, beautiful, beautiful. So number one, I feel like I've always have room for improvement. And so I'm not sitting here saying, oh, look at me, I'm just look at me, everything right. There are days where I fall apart. There are days where I feel like I am the worst in the world at doing something that I want so badly to do well. For example, learning Hungarian right now, I sound horrible. Um, so just realizing that there's a learning curve to everything that I do, like that has helped me through the most challenging things, because I realized at the beginning, I'm always going to be bad at it. Like I can't just start instantly being good at it, whatever it is. So just to give myself a little bit of grace, like say, okay, this is my learning curve. And this is where the more times I fail, the more I will learn and the better I will be in the end. So giving myself permission to fail. And I can't stress that enough. Like give yourself permission to fall on your face. Give yourself permission to say embarrassing things. Like just that skill alone, being come more and more comfortable with making mistakes, it sounds like that's going the wrong direction, because people would say I don't want to make mistakes because then I'm not a good person. But making the mistakes is where you get that learning that lasts. It never goes away. If you make a mistake, you will never forget that learning. So I would say making mistakes. And then you just mentioned like all of the different areas of my life. So I'll just briefly say, yes, I'm the mother of 7 children. My oldest is married and has 2 children. So I'm a mother and a grandmother, been married close to 30 years. And so having the relationship with my husband is a high priority. My business is a high priority. And as a part of teaching my children life skills, I've helped them each start a business, which means I'm in the startup phase of 4, 5 businesses right now. And so they need me with their businesses. And then my own health and wellness, I take very good care of my body. Like I learn how to eat, how to exercise, and then I just implement it. It's a high priority for me. And then just travel, until COVID, I would travel to six to eight countries a year,
Wow.
speaking and presenting and doing workshops and retreats. My favorite retreat is what I call fun photo tours, because I'm a photographer. And
Mm.
what we do is we go and we have an experiential retreat where we live, we work hands-on. The entire retreat is done in life instead of in a classroom. And I guide the people through like challenging, not that I purposefully make challenging travel experiences for them, but travel just is hard. Like you lose your suitcase, you're late, you can't speak to the driver, they gyp you, they swindle you or whatever. There are all kinds of just hard things when you travel. And so those fun photo tours are my favorite, which we're not doing right now and I miss. So yeah.
What would you say is one tip about creating fun photos?
Oh, so fun. Oh my gosh. Okay. So one, it's to enjoy yourself. Whatever you're doing, don't think about the end result so much that you don't enjoy the process. So a lot of times people say, okay, they get really serious and very strict and like, okay, this is the result we want. And they narrow all of the possibilities that could be a positive result. They say, I only want this one result. And they focus so much on the result that they ignore all of these other possibilities that are around that could give them even better results. And then they're focused so much on the end goal that they're not enjoying the process. So it actually is so funny because I will come away from a day and have 2,000 photos, and I will, so someone could say, Stacy, you were direction oriented. You ended up at the end of your day having 2,000 photos. And I will say, but I enjoyed the process so much that it just was seamlessly a part of my experience. I wasn't even trying. I was just enjoying myself. And then the end result happened kind of on its own. So
I
enjoy
like
the process.
I like how you said that people need to stop thinking about the end results when they're taking those photos, especially in this day and age. We have digital photos. You don't have to go and buy film and send it off for development and take it. Oh, I screwed up, right? You don't have to waste film and anything like that. So you can do as many photos as you want. You can take as many takes as you want and try it as many times as you want, and to get that end result when you find that right one that you got. One thing I really enjoy doing is if I'm traveling around or going outside and whatnot, and I see people taking photos and family photos and whatnot, and they're trying to capture everybody in a selfie. I'm like, here, if it's okay, let me help you take a photo, right? So then I would go, okay, 1, 2, 3, take a photo, and they're all just like all standing there like that. I'm like, okay. So after I take 2 of those photos, which is exactly what they asked for, I'd go, okay, now on the count of 3, do something crazy. 1, 2, 3, and then they just have this happy, fun little face and whatnot. And it turns out that will be the photo they like most
Oh,
because
that's
they
so
don't think about it,
awesome. Oh
right?
my God.
And then
That is
after that, they're happy and they're so enjoying that moment that they've actually captured it. So then it makes that experience a lot more fun. So yeah, don't think about it. Give them like 3 seconds and then you just react. So it's a lot more fun that way. So no, I actually love
awesome.
that thought about not thinking about it at all.
Awesome. Okay, I have one more to add to your arsenal. If it's a couple and you ask them, are you a couple? And they say yes, then say, okay, this is a kissing one. Nobody gets pictures of them kissing, but they're their most cherished pictures. So there's another one to add to your list.
It's like that. It's like the kiss cam at hockey games or sports arenas and all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
Now, for somebody who's obviously happy a lot, okay, do you wake up? I'm happy.
No,
how do you wake up in the morning?
no, I'm not there yet, guys. I have a morning routine, and I have to remind myself. One of the reasons why mornings are hard for me is because I've always prioritized sleep, because I had 7 babies that kept me up at night for 18 years, and so sleep has always been like my luxury. People have their thing, like the most special, most amazing thing, and for me it's sleep. So in the morning, I work hard. I have a lot to do. I don't I mean, I'm healthy, but I don't always wake up feeling the most rested. And so I have kind of a routine in the morning that gets me refocused and helps me realize I get to choose how I feel. And it's so crazy because if someone says to you, okay, Fong, you get to choose how you want to feel right now.
Mhm.
Are you going to choose to feel any way other than like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's up to you, it's like, okay, if I get to choose how I want to feel, I'll feel the way I like to feel. And it's unique to everyone. Some people like to feel an emotion that maybe I wouldn't like to feel. Maybe a football player, they get all that aggression ready to
Yeah.
play the sport. And maybe that's not a way I would comfortably feel, but they love it. So I'm not, when I say a way you like to feel, I don't mean box it into this narrow happiness. It has to fit into this narrow definition that you call happiness, because some people would actually not prefer happiness, because to them happiness means I don't get the things done that I need to get done. So they don't want happiness, they want to feel productive. So their word would be different than my word. So I would say optimal, that optimal state. So when I wake up in the morning and I don't feel optimal, I didn't feel like I got enough rest, and maybe I have a lot to do that day, then I think to myself, okay, Stacy, you get to choose how you want to feel. Nobody's making you feel any way other than you want to feel. It's you get to choose. So that's number one, is that realize I get to choose. And if I get to choose, I'm going to choose to like the way I feel, like it's just like kind of a no-brainer. And to realize that when I like the way that I feel, I get 10 times more done. Like that goes back to the fueling the happiness, fueling your success with happiness. I literally get 10 times more done when I start my day proactively choosing my optimal internal state. And so that's cool. Like when I wake up and I don't feel optimal, I say, do I get to choose? Yes. If I get to choose, how would I like to feel? Okay, I'd like to feel good, and realize if I feel good, I'm going to get way more done and enjoy the entire day. When I successfully stay in that optimal state all day and I get tons done, 10 times more done, it feels like I played all day. It doesn't even feel like I worked hard. I'll almost go, did I get anything done today? Because all it did is feel like I was playing. So I have to look at my notes and go, oh my gosh, I had this many calls. I wrote many chapters in my book. I recorded this many sessions for my, I have a group that I take them through my book. And actually that's free. If anyone wants to join, it's Happy Life Results book reading group, and I can link it, but it's free. You can go through my book. I post sections of my book every day with a video. So I'm doing these videos, right? Every day I have a video that I share. And so I'll look at and go, I really did get a lot done, but it just felt like I was playing. So that's kind of my secret, I guess.
Well, that's the optimal state, right? To be able to enjoy and have fun with what you're doing, and have that as part of your business and kind of stuff, and also be able to help people at the same time. So you've got all three, which is all great.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
if you had a chance to speak to everybody in the world, what would that one main message be that you want them to remember you for?
Okay. You can choose your internal state. You can choose to have an optimal internal state right now. And if you don't feel like you have the skills to do that, I can teach you.
Awesome. Very powerful and very, very meaningful as well. Now, before I let you go, I do have 5 quick questions for you, just to get to have some fun and see that smile of yours a bit more.
Thank you.
So, if you had a choice, if you had a choice to go to anywhere in the world right now, because you've traveled to many, many places, what is one place that you haven't gone yet that you really want to see?
Yes, I have 2. I want to go to New Zealand, and I want to go to Korea.
Cool. Korea has some amazing photo places where you could do, because I see some of those photos that you have with the perspectives and whatnot. They have a very cool museum there.
Awesome.
If you were in a circus, what role would you play?
Okay, I would be a trapeze artist.
Awesome. Do you have any background of doing any of that stuff?
No, I don't.
But it's all fun.
So I do aerial silk yoga,
Uh-huh.
which is heights, and you use your body to strength to move yourself up this, curtain basically. And I love the thrill and the excitement. So that is a bit of background, but not with the trapeze specifically.
It's all good. So I'm going to back up a little bit here. How many types of yoga do you have?
So there's the yoga, like all of those stretching strength yoga. I probably list about 5 different kinds, and then aerial silk, and then also partner yoga, where you do yoga with someone else and you do lifts and things like that. That's another one. And then face yoga and laugh yoga. So
That's
5,
like,
6, 7, 8.
wow, that's like a good handful right there. Plus, so you do all those classes, plus you have regular exercises, plus you have well, like I said, you have a lot of roles and a lot of activities. So good on you for balancing all that kind of stuff. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
if you had an opportunity to do any kind of event and you were able to find the ideal co-host, anybody you want, who would that be?
It would be Jason McPherson, my husband.
Of course.
He's amazing. Like, his skills, like whenever he takes personality tests, all the positive things apply to him, and all the negative things, I'm like, nope, that's not you. Nope, that's not you.
So usually when I ask that question, people would give me a celebrity star or something like that, but we'll go with it. What is your husband's most favorite dish that you prepare for
Oatmeal cookies.
him?
Yeah, I make them with like 10 eggs and hardly any sugar, just a little bit of coconut sugar, and so many nuts that you wouldn't even believe that it's more nut. There's twice as many nuts and seeds as there is batter, but it all sticks together. He likes them.
Very nice. And my last question is, what is success like? I got 4 items here. Pick 1 to 4.
The one on the farthest left, your left.
This one? That one?
Your left. Yeah, that one.
Okay. So how is success like a comic book?
Comic book. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I love this. All right. So, first I'll just ask you, what superpower would you like to have? And I'll ask it rhetorically so you can think about it. And then, why would you like to have that superpower? Mm-hmm. What is it you would like to accomplish by having that superpower? Again, rhetorically. And then realize that probably the reason why you would like that superpower is because somehow it would enhance your feeling of well-being, whether it meant that you connected better with others, whether it meant that you were able to have mischief that you got away with, like maybe it's to time travel or maybe it's to get money. But ultimately, if you look, why do you want that superpower? So comic books are all about superpowers. And then what would you like to get from that? And then how would you feel? And a lot of times it's so that they could have a sense of well-being. That's the ultimate reason why we would want to have any super ability. So why do you want it? So that you can improve your well-being. Well, why not take steps today to improve your ability to have the well-being, that internal state that you like to feel more often in your life?
Awesome. I think you're the very first person that took that question and made it an assignment for somebody to think about. Very well done. So what would you say is the best way to get in touch with you if people want to know more about the yoga stuff that you do, get a copy of your book, have you consult for them? What's the best way to contact you and reach out?
Okay, so Stacy at STACYMcPHERSON.com is my email, my personal email. I check it every day. And then my Facebook, Stacy J. McPherson. I'm the only Stacy J. McPherson that I know of right now. And so Facebook is fantastic because then you have access to my book group, and you have access to my daily posts. I post inspirational videos daily, and 4 times a week I do a Facebook Live. So more of me in your life. And then I have a YouTube channel as well, Happy Life Results YouTube. Yeah.
And more of you in people's lives means more smiling for everybody else, right? So it's all,
Yeah,
it's all positive. It's all good. Well, thank you very much for your time and being here and also sharing all your great stories. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. So for everybody else, she is STACY McPHERSON. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.
Woo!